Hey, everybody, welcome to the show, Black Sheep Rising. We've got an awful lot to talk about this evening, a lot more than 2 hours, but we're going to try. My name is Conan, and of course, Daryl is back from his Super Bowl hiatus. Welcome back, sir.
Fucking Super Cup. Fucking son of a bitch.
And we've got a treat for you this evening. Brett Venat from School Sucks Project, an excellent, well-produced podcast, is here with us this evening. Brett, thanks for joining us, man.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And for the longest time, I thought it was Brett Vinois.
Yeah,
that sounds nice. That sounds nice. You can call me that.
Very, very French.
I almost meant to ask you that. I know that it's Venat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you got this Benoit. You got Benoit.
Yeah.
And I think isn't it spelled pretty much the same way?
Benoit has a B at the beginning.
No, I mean the rest of it.
Yeah, it's really close.
There's only one T and not a final E in Benoit.
And of course, the way the language works, some letters do their thing and some don't, and it's just up to the interpreter to decide what nationality it came from the get go. And of course, like my name should be probably pronounced Salada, so that I should be linked in with the Latins and whatnot. But I pronounce it Salada.
My attitude is I'm an American, and my name ain't gonna end in no wah.
There you go.
Wow. That just sounds so xenophobic. Have you been hanging out with Alan West lately?
Alan West. Is he he's
the former congressman from Florida.
Wait, is he black?
Yes.
And he's xenophobic.
Yeah, there was the Coca-Cola commercial that aired during the Super Bowl
Where they
that
sing
really
different
got
languages.
him riled up. Yes, where they were singing America the Beautiful in like 5 different languages, and he got all pissed off.
But how many other people were also pissed off by that? Because that was a whole
bunch of righties and a bunch of people that call themselves Tea Partiers.
I actually linked 3 Super Bowl ads if we ran out of time, which I don't think we're gonna.
No.
That your buddies actually suggested that we play for you. But but the whole national anthem
wasn't national. America the Beautiful is not the national anthem. Nice try though.
Whatever.
When I saw
I mix them all together.
The ad, certainly. I mean, the song doesn't mean that much to me, so I can't say that I was upset about it. But I wonder what the motivation is behind an ad like that.
Well, because Coca-Cola is the most popular soft drink company in the world.
All of it. I shouldn't even get into it.
Conspiracy, man.
They're the most, by far the most popular soft drink company in the world.
Yeah.
And they pride themselves on that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, America is supposedly the melting pot to where people from all over the world come together. And what brings the world together better than a Coke?
Well, it seems like there must have been a boardroom where somebody had the foresight to say, this is going to upset a lot of people.
There was the ad
drinkers.
Back when we were kids. I don't remember exactly what year, but they took the song, I forget what the song was, but they changed the lyrics to, I'd like to give the world a Coke.
I'd like to teach the world to sing or something.
Yeah, they changed that to, I'd like to give the world a Coke.
Well, that's kind of ballsy, too. That was a long time ago. You're right. We were kids when that happened.
Yeah. So they pride themselves on being the world's biggest soft drink company.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a ballsy thing. I see it as they're promoting the fact that they are the biggest fucking soft drink company in the world.
Kind of push the balls around.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I don't know. I think that they should have considered what the negative fallout of something like that would be, because they know that there's a real spirit of anti whatever you want to call it, multiculturalism or assimilation, and also I think multiculturalism is a word that's kind of been hijacked too, right? Because it sounds like a good thing. Tolerance sounds like tolerance is a good thing, like to be tolerant of people who aren't like you the best you can. But multiculturalism and tolerance have kind of been, they're kind of cover words for, now I don't want to get too silly here, but like the Agenda 21, UNESCO kind of stuff. I mean, they use, that's a real thing. It's a very real thing. And they use words like that as kind of a cover for, because they sound good. It sounds great,
Yeah.
Who's going to disagree with tolerance? So it's a euphemism.
A lot of people.
For a very real, I think, global agenda that, might not be as nefarious as some people think it is, but...
I just think it's kind of odd that there are some people who pride themselves on, this is America, we only speak one language here.
Yeah, that's silly. That's very silly. I agree with you.
Which it reminds me of the story that I saw floating around on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, where there was somebody in line at a grocery store and they heard the person in front of them speaking something that wasn't English, and then when the person got off the telephone said, excuse me, but this is America, we speak English here. If you want to speak something else, go back to where you came from. And the guy said, I'm Navajo.
Oh, no.
If you want to speak English, go back to where you came from.
Hold on.
Wow. Oh, there we go.
There you go. So he put it in his face, slapped it right back in his face. So, Brett, for those who are not aware,
Yeah.
you do a podcast.
I do, yeah.
Very professional, lot better than what
He
we
said
do here.
doo-doo.
Did
Well,
say
I have
that?
to say, before you go on, I'm very impressed by your setup here. I think this is fantastic. So
It's-
this looks pretty professional to me.
It's comfortable. It's
Yeah,
comfortable.
yeah.
But you do a podcast, and you've been doing it for quite.
It's doo-doo.
You've been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah, I've been doing it since 2009.
For the listeners, viewers who aren't aware, So you said you haven't been doing school stuff in like a year, but you've been covering education for sure. That's your big game over at School Sucks Project.
Yeah, we're promoting education, so I find myself increasingly uninterested in school because it's kind of the opposite. So, no, I mean, the first... It was very, it felt like a soft sell as far as the target audience we were trying to attract, which was young people.
Mm-hmm.
They already know school sucks because they're there and they're experiencing that. And young adults remember that it sucks. And I thought it was a nice doorway into the philosophy of liberty, using basically a marketing slogan that was already attractive to the people we wanted to attract.
It is very catchy.
Because, as you guys know, I mean, it's very difficult. If somebody's over 20, somebody's over 30, they're very, very difficult to talk to about anything, especially in the political realm. So, and we try to attract young people. We spent a lot of time talking about what the problems were with school, in a variety of different levels, from the teachers' union to the politics to the curriculum to the, the sucking money out of opportunities for private education. All of that. But in the last couple of years, I've really tried to shift to make it more a constructive show about, what education is. So.
And, of course, I brought up your website here, schoolsucksproject.com.
Yeah. And it says, aside from the word school in that building, I would challenge you to find something else that's related to actual school on the front page.
And you're doing 2 shows a week? One show?
I shoot for 2. We do a lot of video work on YouTube.
And of course, you're also a regular. Since you've moved here to Keene, you've become a regular host on Free Talk Live.
Yep, I do Free Talk Live every Wednesday night with Ian and Mark. So.
Excellent.
And something about Procter and Gamble over here.
Where?
P&G. Procter and Gamble.
That's
a recent post. The Puke in the Gang School Sucks secret show.
Oh, you did a podcast today before you got here.
Oh
no, we didn't.
We did it yesterday.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So you're making the rounds this week.
I am. Yeah. I like being here, and I like all the opportunities that exist here to be on more shows. I'm real slutty when it comes to other people's shows.
Daryl does too.
I was doing $5 rides. That wasn't supposed to be public.
That's there now. Next Pork Fest, they're going to be knowing you're available for the $5 rides.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we really try to keep it constructive the best we can. It's so easy to get pulled into the lure of negativity. You spend a few minutes on Facebook or Twitter and you see what's going on out there, and it can be very distracting.
One of the best videos that I think you did and it was brilliant because it was satire, was your video, The Dangers of Libertarianism.
Yeah, that was actually based on a real conversation that I had with a statist once, where they were talking about how bad it would be to have no government. So I started saying, all right, so we wake up tomorrow and the government is gone. Which I think even for, like, you know, a pretty dyed-in-the-wool anarchist, they would at least recognize that
to be a little chaos.
that's a situation that certainly has some dangers.
Yes.
But it's the worst case scenario as far as the implementation of these ideas, right? We wake up tomorrow and the state is just gone, and then there's obviously this probably pretty significant, pretty violent and chaotic decompression period where no one knows who to turn to or what to do.
Where to buy their food. You know,
exactly.
how to stay safe from the looters and whatnot.
All right, so Wells Fargo, Walmart, and Halliburton sort of get into a turf war.
You know, there's so many variables involved in society. It's hard to predict exactly what would happen, you know. But so the reason why I chose the tack that I did in that conversation in that video is, like, at every stage where there a choice or you know, something could happen, there could be a new event. What's the worst thing that could happen? And over about 12 minutes in the conversation in the video, it led right back to our current situation, right? Where, you know, yeah. Have you ever seen the video, Conan?
I haven't. I've seen a lot of them. I think that's one I've missed.
So
it's brilliant.
So
I'll put it in the show notes for sure.
Basically, what happens is, like, you know, bad people do stuff, and, you know, they take advantage of good people,
and they're doing it right now as well. Except that usually they're in higher office, and they're actually dictating how we live our lives.
Right, because it doesn't work at first. If somebody's like, hey, I'm bad and I've got a gun, and, you know, but you're outnumbered by like 20 people who realize that that's not a sustainable way to live. Mm-hmm. So they say, hey, you're a bad guy with a gun, I'm a bad guy with a gun. We should get together and be bad guys with guns together. We should, you know, increase our numbers and our power. And eventually they start bribing. They develop a network and they start bribing people, and it leads right back to something that looks very similar to the state. So
they would all, like, carve out their their territory on lines on a map, and it would look exactly like this.
Yeah. So I recommend that. It's called Why Libertarianism is So Dangerous, I think. You can find it. So it's one of the if go to School Sucks on YouTube, and it's one of the most popular vids. So that's it. That's my project in a nutshell.
And where do you see this all going? You're going to pretty much be distributing the same content you've been on because it's so well received, and there's no reason to change your game. Or I mean, how do you see your future?
I'm trying to get on shows with bigger audiences. I'm trying to get on Joe Rogan. I wouldn't mind getting on Alex Jones, James Corbett. I just did a show with somebody called the Libertarian Homeschooler. Who's got about 40,000 followers on
Dana?
Facebook. No, her name is actually Anna Martin.
Oh, same family?
No, she's down south somewhere. So somebody suggested I interview her, and, you know, I'm just trying to find bigger audiences. Sometimes I'll have people on my show that have really big audiences, like Dan Carlin. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with, like, Hardcore History. He's a huge, like, he is basically a podcasting legend. He's huge.
I don't know him.
That's all right. That's all right, because he's kind of he's on his. I think he could be more liberty oriented, but he's got some hang-ups.
I think I've heard the name, but that's about it.
So I did a great show with him, but we wound up having a little bit of a debate, and I said, can you retweet this, you know, to your followers? You know what I mean? You know? But he didn't do it, so my audience loved it. So, I mean, we're kind of, I'm also worried that people like negativity, and when I stopped being really negative, a lot of people stopped listening.
That's why they listen to O'Reilly and Alex, man. Alex Jones, they love that crap.
So people listen to Alex Jones because he's a fucking nutcase,
and he's angry. They like that he's got angry drama written all over him.
He does, yeah. That's a big part of it, I think. But I'm
just going to get real here on the show from here on out.
The point is to grow the audience. If I could triple the audience in size, it would make a huge difference. But, you know, that's a difference that it makes for me and the strength and the success of the project. I'm not trying to change the world. I have no delusions about, you know, reforming or getting rid of the government school system. What I do is I say, hey, you know, here's something that exists. If you've identified that you need some help, or you think school affected you negatively, here's a resource that can help you, and hopefully it attracts and helps as many people as possible. But I don't have any larger ambition like, we're going to take on the Federal Department of Education. I mean, but who knows?
School
In 3
sucks
years,
merges with the Khan Academy.
well, I mean, in 3 years, if something like that was possible, yeah, maybe we would change our mission. But right now, it's just like, hey, this is here to help if you need it, and I want to help as many people as possible.
You could always start making Star Wars videos and call it the Wrath of Khan Academy.
Ah, yes.
Use the Schwartz, Lone Star. Use
So-
the Schwartz.
We couldn't even get the domain name School Sucks because it's been bought and owned since like 1993 by a website that you can download like term papers from. I wanted like $25,000 for it. So
Damn.
we have no mergers yet, I guess is what I'm saying.
Forget that nonsense.
Wrath
So-
of Khan Academy.
So speaking of trying to change the school system,
Yes.
Daryl and I and a bunch of others attempted yesterday morning all the way up through afternoon, attempted to work through the system,
Yeah.
which is what we are always told to do. If we're talking to anybody, statist, minarchist, anyone who believes in the system as it is, they're like, well, if you don't like the law, if you don't like the way it's being handled, if you don't like the system, you should follow the proper procedures, go through the proper channels, and you should make the change that you think is fit. And of course, that's exactly what we did. I know that when
That's what we tried to do.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. That's what we tried to do. I know that when you were first getting here to Keene, I was walking around with those petitions and getting signatures for them. These are warrants that I wanted to add to the ballot that would allow smaller budgets and that would also cut some of the powers and authorities that the school board has that I don't think they should have. And that's following their rules.
Yeah, can you define warrants in this context, just for the uninitiated?
They're articles that will appear on the
It's
ballot.
called a warrant article is the official name.
Okay.
And the budget by itself. We the Keene district require this much money. That's one warrant.
I think a better name, and it's what is used in most places in the country, is ballot initiative.
Okay, all right.
So it's the closest thing that New Hampshire has to ballot initiatives.
All right.
But it's called warrant articles.
Gotcha.
So yesterday was the first session, which allowed the voter population to get together and to review the warrants and to make any changes, make any amendments to the warrants that will appear on the March 7th,
11th.
March 11th ballot. The issue is, by their law, no changes can be made to any petition warrant that will change the nature and the subject matter of the warrant. So you can change, but you can change a number of values. So if I put like 50,000 on there, the people can get together and say, no, 50,000 is too much. We want to change it down to 25.
Too much for a
But
cut.
they can't
right.
change the nature and the subject matter and the action that the warrant is trying to take. Mm-hmm. And what happened yesterday, first of all, my 3 budget articles, which were in a specific order and were written specifically to be in that order, to come after their budget, the first
And
thing they
which,
did.
1 month ago, they had at the end of all of the warrant articles.
Exactly. The last month should have been the way that it should have been presented yesterday. But lo and behold, yesterday, their budget was number 5 when it should have been number 1 or number 2. And mine were the first, were 2, 3, and 4, which put them out of place, which would have meant that if any of those had passed, there would have been 2 budgets. Their budget, which was number 5, and one of mine if it made it. Because mine are supposed to overrule any previous budget. And they specifically told me that, yes, this is the order they'll be in. You can write it this way. This works. And they knew that. And this is why I knew they knew that, because in my debate with Ann Zott, I asked her, why was this done? Why are you guys trying to be tricky like this? And she said, when it started getting heated and debated, she said, we changed the order because we want it to fail.
And what's her position?
She's the finance administrator on the school board.
Okay.
Her term is up this year, and she decided not to run for re-election.
So she can say anything she wants now because it doesn't matter anymore. She's not running for re-election. So that was the first thing they did.
Well, let's if we can just step back for a second and let's talk about the fight. The fight and the dogs that are in it, right? So this is over the school budget.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which is currently 63 million ish.
Does Keene bring students from other towns?
A couple.
Okay.
A couple, but those other towns
maybe like 200, 300
pay tuition to
They compensate.
Keene.
From their own people's property taxes.
Yes.
Goddamn.
And they already, one of the big debates is all the kids are having to take care of from court orders and whatnot that aren't paying into the system. So they're cracking down on these people for sure. Anyone who's not already paying in.
Okay. So as far as the concerned parties, let's start with you. You're a homeowner in the town of Keene.
And a parent
And a parent.
who doesn't put his child through their system. So right off the bat, I'm paying into the system that I'm not even using, just like a lot of people in Keene aren't really using. There's only probably a good 1,500, 2,000 people who actually have kids in this city.
And they actually showed a slide about that of, we've got a very old population here, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
with no kids and have no intention of having any kids. And we're losing our younger population because of what? Because of the taxes.
Right. So now the people who are on the school board, who's presiding over this,
Yes.
what is their motivation to? I mean, I would think like
It's for the kids.
okay, but I mean, I remember my dad. Like when I was growing up, my dad was a pretty conservative guy, and he was the chairman of the school board, and he got run out of town pretty fast. But there's no diversity on this. I mean, Keene is a very liberal town, right? So there's no diversity of opinion on the school board.
As far as I've been able to surmise, they're all pretty much of the same ilk. I know that Chris Roberts likes to say that he's the most conservative guy on the board, and he's a straight up, top-notch liberal.
Okay.
He likes to say he's frugal and conservative, but he's the biggest proponent of these increases.
Not with other people's money.
As long as it's other people's money.
He's probably actually correct in saying that he's the fiscal conservative on the board.
I agree. Well, of course, here in that, who was the guy sitting next to him who kept saying that, hey, look, guys, stop trying to increase this. Stop wasting our time trying to increase this. The budget is already increasing by $1 million. Stop trying to fight for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 here. Just stop what you're doing. It's already increased by $1 million.
So so in that context, we have those two parties: the school board, which is, according to what you guys saw, entirely comprised of people who want the budget to go up, just because that's their politics. Is the teachers or teachers unions involved in the proceedings or the debate in any way?
They're voting at these events that we were at.
So they're there?
75% of the audience were teachers and admins.
Okay.
So they are directly involved in this process because it affects them directly.
Oh, of course it does.
It affects me directly too, but a lot of people don't realize that because we have so many. I think one of the problems we have here in Keene is we have so many renters. Every time I turn around, I talk to a renter. I'm like, I start, trying to debate with them. Like, oh, it doesn't really bother me. I don't pay taxes. And it's like, no, fucking stop where you're at. Stop. You absolutely pay taxes. Your landlord is deducting that tax money from your rent. That's why your rent is so much. You absolutely pay property taxes in this. You just don't pay them directly. They're coming out of your rent.
So
here's one thing that is very important to point out. There were about 115 people there.
They started 150.
There are approximately 17,000 registered voters in Keene, which means that it was roughly 0.5% of registered voters.
Right.
Which means that nowhere near a majority of homeowners even showed up.
And
say that, it's because there's so many renters, there's definitely more than 0.5% of the population that owns a home.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I'm saying there are also a lot of renters, and they don't care. Number one, it's one reason is because they don't They don't even understand that the money is actually coming out of their rent. They don't.
Right.
They don't get it.
Well, democracy is rule of the majority, or rule of the minority. And the reason why I say that is most people are pacified with the idea that we are the government. We got to have a say and participate. I'm sorry, I don't mean to use that. I shouldn't use that voice. That's really insensitive. But I mean, that's what we're taught. That's something that we're taught just endlessly. That's pounded into our heads. And then the people who have the most to gain from the process or the moving around of the money, they find these little rooms that you guys were in yesterday. They find these little committees that they have to go to, and then they go and influence them. Well,
Yes.
most people, like the ones you're talking about, the renters, who I guess can just thank their lucky stars that they don't live in North Korea. They get to live in a democracy where they are the government, so they can just stay home and kind of think that everything will be okay. And you're totally right. They are paying. I mean, a landlord's entire rent collected from somebody could go directly to property taxes.
More than half of my rent. Mortgage. More than half of my mortgage is going to taxes
Wow.
for a 30-year mortgage. More than half of it, and that's rent. Mortgage. House payment and home insurance combined. The taxes are more. It's horrible. So I mean, so if you see the picture
horrible.
of old Conan here that they decided to put in the Sentinel paper on page 3, big old monster picture.
You don't look happy.
Here I am. I look like I want to cut babies' heads off. I want to.
I actually see death rays shooting out of your eyeballs.
That's how I feel. That's how I really feel. I'm being robbed of $2,100 a year to pay for a system that I am not having any part of. I didn't sign their contract. I didn't sign their social contract. I want my money back. I want to spend that money the way I think it needs to be spent, because I think that the system that they have currently is 100 years old. It's not actually doing anything they think that it's doing. It's just daycare. It's just a place for me to put my kids so I can go work and make more tax revenue, and my kids will be taken care of while I'm doing it. It's unnecessary, and there are private industries out there who are doing a much better job creating better children for even cheaper. There's the private school in Swansea, $2,000 a year tuition for high schoolers.
Yeah,
and I can argue that they're probably spitting out smarter kids in the long run. And they're also and the problem is that they're also having to deal with the same regulations that these schools are, the same testing regulations, so they're also getting away from what is important when it comes to education.
You can send your kid to the Dublin
that's
school
learning.
as a student with room and board for about half, or might have been 1/3 of the price of what the city of Keene spends to educate one child.
And it goes up a good $1.5 million every year.
Yeah.
And there seems to be no end in sight.
So what are their before we move to the last
and there's
question?
500 less kids than 2007.
Yeah. Wow. What kind of justifications or what did they enter as arguments?
Oh, they
for?
blame the state. They blame the state that the state isn't giving us the money that owes us.
The state gives us less money every year because we have fewer students, so we have to increase taxes.
Fewer students, less money. Oh, it's the state's fault.
All right, so the state pays less money, and
you got inflation. You got inflation.
Kids.
Right. So the money,
and old buildings. All the old buildings are decrepit. All these kids are forced to live in these rooms where it's just too hot for them to think.
Yeah.
The heat is crazy.
Too hot in the winter and too cold in the summer.
And the sprinklers are all out of date, and according to the fire code, we've got to get them up to date because they wouldn't put out a building
for
fire.
the last 20 years.
It's so much nonsense.
So the last question I have is what's the history, right? I'm looking at the article right here. It says it has both of your names, and then there is a clause inserted before the verb that follows that subject, Daryl Perry and Conan. So how'd you say you pronounce it? Salada?
Salada.
Salada, I'm sorry. Who both identify with the Free Keene.
Oh, every time.
Oh, this is Keene Sentinel speak for these guys are the devil.
Scroll up to the top.
This is inserted anytime we ever do anything. This is the first thing they will insert when they talk about us.
Well, look at the first verb they use to describe your actions. Majority of keen voters had a clear message Saturday for a small group that sought to. That's a word. That's something that murderers do. Slash the budget and reduce some of the school board's powers. No, thank you, said the responsible adults of the community who care about the kids. No, thank you.
Who were a majority.
Hold on. Read the next, just the part before that first comma of the next sentence.
Most voters showed their disdain for the ideas.
Yeah. So already, right off the bat, but you've got horrible people that are trying to destroy the school.
Because we hate children.
Well, the well is poisoned in this article, but the uncomfortable and important question is that the well was poisoned too. Was the well poisoned before the meeting? So
none of these individuals, except for maybe Ian, are a part of the poisoning of the well. We've been here 2 years. There's no well poisoning when we got here. That was all done before us.
Right.
So that's old school, and people still bring it up. But none of these guys they can't say that anymore.
Arguably, we poisoned the well last year by running for school board.
I guess
Arguably, we poisoned the well by running for local office
using
as the
their
only
system,
opposition
using their system
to their statist candidates.
I guess you can look at it that way, but I think that the poisoning of the well is the people, the topless, gun-toting, pot smoking,
the tit painting
crazy people.
Wasn't even a fucking free stater. That was a native that was doing that.
But it's guilt by association. I mean, there's no. You have to think too that you can't have a logical argument with emotional people, and it's not that not that they're incapable of being logical. It's just that when everybody's pushed into the very emotional arena that is politics, I'm really convinced, and I don't mean to be cynical, but I'm really convinced that people get involved in politics, not you guys, but like most people, because it's like a socially acceptable way to vent anger. It's like in a socially acceptable way to like wish, bad things at people you don't like.
Right.
And it's most definitely a power force that can be used to control people who you disagree with.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as Daryl and I are concerned, I run the only reason I have anything to do with politics is in self-defense.
Absolutely.
I don't see any other way. If it's available, if there's a stick over there, and if I go pick that stick up, the bully might leave me alone. I'm going to go fucking pick that stick up.
Right.
I might not agree that violence is the answer.
Yeah.
But there's a stick sitting over there, and this is the way that their system is set up. It's there. It's available. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to go pick it up, and I'm going to see what can be done about it. And when this video comes out, I mean, it's smarmy. I mean, there are some sound bites in this video. I mean,
yeah, there are.
They were trying to put us in our place. Those damned anarchists that come in here and they waste our time. They turn this 3-hour event into a 6-hour event, wasting our time.
Even though it was,
they were very unhappy that
one
we were there.
One of the people that loves the state. He loves the state so much that he even said that he wished that the school board had more authority and that there wasn't a deliberative session in which people could recommend to the school board that they do things.
Yeah, he said down with SB2. There's no need for it. I want a small group to make all the decisions.
He's the guy
Council of Elders kind of
that
thing?
amended all of the articles that were placed by petition.
So, and basically what they did was they just switched one word in your thing, right? So
which completely nullified the meaning of the warrants.
It's even written in here. They changed the word repeal and remove to ratify.
And it
Instead of we wish to remove the authority from the board to blah, 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 we wish to ratify the authority of the board to blah, blah, blah.
Now, when did you find out that they had done this?
During the meeting yesterday. This happened during the meeting yesterday.
It was this one lawyer individual who I have a sneaky suspicion was probably asked to, because he always shows up to these events. He's a staple. He's a school board staple. He's always there, and he's always getting up there, and he just likes the sound of his fucking voice. Mm-hmm. But I have a sneaky suspicion they knew he was a lawyer. They knew he'd be able to write up some good articles, some good warrants, some good amendment warrants. And he was there. He amended every single one of them. And yeah, he just added a little thing here, a little thing there. and it completely changed the meaning of the warrants. Which, by the way, like I said earlier, which changing the meaning of the warrant is against the law. It specifically says you cannot change the meaning of the law. And that's exactly what has happened. So now every single one of those warrants have lost their teeth, they've lost their bite, and they don't mean what they originally meant.
The Attorney General will be finding out about this.
It's such a fuck you. It's worse than, it's not even like watering it down. It's like putting it in your face. It's
work in the system. Oh, you're in the system. We don't want you here. Leave.
And you know what they're going to say? And so because all these guys have their own shows, and they're going to be having their own little debates, and you know what they're going to say? It's so sad that no one showed up to these events, because I mean, I really enjoy when the voters come out and they participate and they have their own says and all that. It's really sad when only 100 people come out. There's a fucking reason why no one fucking comes out to these things. This is why no one comes out to these events.
They don't enjoy when people show up.
No,
fucking
they
3 hours into the meeting, the moderator was bitching about how long the fucking meeting was going on.
2 hours in.
Because one of their little fucking ass fuck buddies was fucking amending everything that we proposed through the fucking petition process. That's the only fucking way that we can get anything on the fucking ballot. You fucking fucks.
You're losing the audience, man.
Well, that being said,
You lost half of our audience.
No, I mean,
now we're down to two viewers.
I'll repost this. I'll bleep it and repost it on my feed.
You can pull the fucks out of that.
You can just cut the whole thing out.
And then the show goes from 2 hours down to like 45 minutes.
Shit.
I said fuck too. I've said fuck a couple of times, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think I just said fuck like 20 times in a 30-second tirade.
We're nowhere near like the count in like Goodfellas.
We don't hold back.
Of course, we've only been going for an hour, but
I usually wait for the second hour to do the fucks, because the first hour is most seen. It plays twice during the week, or 3 times during the week, as opposed to hour 2, which is our creative, bizarre moment time.
I'm still fucking pissed off about this.
Right now, we're being political.
No, because I mean, I understand. Like that was when I was kind of watching this from afar. Like I understand it a lot better now, and I definitely understand your justification that it's self-defensive. What you're doing as a homeowner in this town, even if you're just a renter.
Attempted self-defense.
Attempted
is probably
self-defense.
the best term.
Because I used to describe like working within the system as like just being on a treadmill, but this makes me feel like it's more like being on a treadmill that's on train tracks.
That's backwards.
Yeah.
You're actually walking the opposite way on a treadmill.
Yeah, and it's on a train tracks.
Yeah.
So you're just waiting. Here comes the train. Run.
Exactly.
I want to get off the treadmill. No, you are not allowed to get off the treadmill.
Your
Can I at least slow it down?
The social contract says that you should stay on this treadmill until death.
But that's why. But see, that was the whole treadmill on train tracks thing. Was
if you don't like this treadmill on a train track, you should go to another treadmill on another train track.
In Somalia.
It was brought up by what made me think of that analogy was, where is it? Where's the line? Some wondered aloud why, if the taxes in Keene are so high, they haven't driven out Freeman or Perry. Now,
because it's like this everywhere.
Do they think that this is sustainable, that they can just raise the taxes 5% a year?
The guys who are 6% actually this year, the guys who are voting on this stuff, yes, they absolutely. And I have another idea too.
Because they did it last year, right?
I've actually asked this during the debates when I've had with these guys. I believe that, especially the people on city council, I believe that they are actually trying to run out the riffraff, the lower class individuals who can't handle these types of tax rates. I think in the back of their minds, when they're drinking wine together after hours, all they talk about is the white trash riffraff guys, single mothers, guys on welfare. Which, by the way, I'm not trying to defend.
Yeah.
But they want to remove that blight from their perfect utopian society, and the way they do it, they keep ramping up the taxes, and sure enough, they'll start running these people off.
And it's
because these lawyer types and Roberts on his with the money he's making from his retirement package, they don't have a problem paying $3,000, $4,000 a year in taxes.
It's important
That's no
to
problem.
point out that the school board portion of the tax is really only about half
It's
of the
62
total.
It's 62% of the total.
So under
Wait,
half
say that again.
of the total tax rate.
The education
In the
tax,
city.
the education requirement is 62% of the total property tax.
So your tax burden, $3 out of $5, in simple terms, goes to the schools.
Two and 3/4, something like that.
Goes to the schools.
Per 5 goes to the schools. These
Wow.
and I haven't totaled up my W-2s this year. I have 2 of them. And their by the way, the school board's numbers are wrong. According to the 63 million divided by 3,400 students, they're paying about $19,000 per student to go to school in tuition. I didn't make that much this year. I didn't fucking make that much this year. I have my own house, I have my own truck, I have a studio, I have all this stuff. I'm able to live, and yet for some reason they can't send a student.
They can't
to an
educate
entire,
a child.
They can't educate a child by their standards.
Although
for an entire year, and yet they're taxing me to death.
it should be noted, if you look at the paper that you got at the deliberative session, or that was mailed to your house that arrived the same day,
the fucking day, yeah,
for the
same day.
99.5% of you that didn't show up, look in there in the middle. They've got the minutes from last year's deliberative session. On the right side of the fold in page 4, page 4, right side of the fold, about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see that I asked a question last year that said, based on the numbers that you have in your budget, it appears as though it only costs $33 million to actually educate children. Is that correct? And they said, well, the rest of the money is support services which benefit the children and have an effect, but yes, it only costs $33 million to actually educate the child.
Was there any...
I could stab your eyes out with a spoon.
That's roughly half of their budget. $33 million out of a $63 million budget, which means that the other $30 million goes to what is deemed support services.
Okay, well, this is probably... That's probably...
$4 million of which is school administration.
Is it 4 or
$8 million is on debt services. It's 4.6.
All right, well, so wait, is the teacher's salaries included in the $33 million?
I believe so, yes.
It's educational, instructional.
Yeah, that's instructional.
And
They've got instructional and support.
And how many kids are there in the entire district? Do you know?
I think it's 3,400. The last number that I saw.
So
That's not a number they let out easy because it's plummeting. The number is dropping. They always like to say that the kindergarten's numbers are driving up.
$20 million for regular instruction.
yeah.
12.25 for special education. 1.3, almost 1.4 million for vocational, and 750,000 for co-curricular, putting instruction cost at 34.43 million. The other services, guidance, 1.5 million, health, 600,000, psychological, 800,000, speech, pathology, and audiology, 1 million, physical and occupational therapy, 500,000, student support, 600,000, staff development, just under 600,000, nearly $1 million for library, which I like libraries.
And they should
I would voluntarily fund a library.
A lot of people would voluntarily fund a library. When you consider that we have 2 book drives a year here in Keene, whole rooms are full of just books that have been donated.
Staff
to
consultation, $20,000. District expenses, $300,000. The share of SAU 29 is $1.5 million.
Is there anything else that's significantly big, or is it just like
building services, almost $5 million. Transportation of students, $2 million. Information technology, $1 million.
Building services $5 million, and yet they request another $100,000 for a building fund emergency thing. What was the admin again?
Admin is $3.6 million. So we were both wrong.
I thought it was more than that last year.
Debt service is $3.6 million.
Unless they've cut admin into something else, because last
$4.6 million for total transfers, which I'm not really sure what that means.
last year I was sure it was $6 million. Unless they've cut that into two different parts, and so
I believe they have.
Can you get a certified, or what's it called, comprehensive annual financial report?
we can 91A it probably.
You
Could
should
request one.
You should. That might actually. See, I don't want to get stuck in the mindset of like, oh, well, how can we fuck with these people? You know, because like I just think that's the kind of swirling down that I know it's so hard to stay out of that. And like I feel myself like when I was just like kind of a distant third party observer to everything that was going on, I was like, why does anyone? Yeah, you know, your taxes are going to go up, but you know, you can't really. This is a headache and a waste of time and a bunch of frustration. But now I'm kind of getting in the mix. You know, from having sat here and talked about this for a while, now I'm more understanding of what's going on. And obviously, this is all of these problems are things that I've known for a long time. And I really think that I distanced myself from it because there was nothing constructive about it. It was just making me upset. It was just like there was just a bunch of bureaucrats in my head, you know, dancing around like fuck you, where you know, and I don't want them in there. You know, I want them away.
Wow,
from
so
me.
you had a school board meeting in your head.
Well, that's what
Fuck you and fuck you.
But that's what resentment is, you know? It's like letting other people occupy space in your mind. And it just kind of sucks you into their negativity.
It most definitely riles you up, and before you know it, you look like this guy right now, this clown right here.
and then you're yelling like 27 fucks like I did.
Right. So
I still think that some of what I said probably made absolutely no sense.
I wasn't listening.
it didn't have to. You
Nor
were
was
expressing
I.
how you felt. You were venting.
Fucking fuck faces.
And I think that even though I don't want to get caught in this downward spiral of how can we piss them off, I will say, it might ruffle some feathers because you can also see, I mean, there could be a fair amount of corruption here, you know, because a lot of towns hide a lot of dealings in budgets like of that size, especially when there's a lot of small items like that. So you should look into at least making a request for a certified, I think it's businesses have to do an annual financial report. But there's a friend of mine who does a show called Gnostic Media named Jan Irvin, and he was real hot on this topic a couple years ago. These, I can't remember if it's comprehensive or certified annual financial reports, because he did it for his school district in California, and he was shocked by what he found. Obviously, you know, mileage may vary from place to place on the amount of corruption.
$200 clipboards?
On the amount of corruption you're going to find. But you do have to ask yourself that question. Do they have like a Defense Department thing going on here where hammers are $400?
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to think, when you look at the process, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, when you look at the sham of the process that you guys went through yesterday, what a great place for corrupt people to be attracted to. You know what I mean? Because, like, look, the public's not here. We have, you know, these angry, 12 angry folks that we've already marginalized as far as the entire community is concerned, making a fuss, but nobody cares what they think. Teachers' unions are in control. Whoever the established powers, the established interests, they're in control of this. So, yeah, I would think this would attract a lot of corruption. And it's not just this. This is just a part of one town's government, right? So...
And that's why I say they're telling us to, if you don't like the taxes, why don't you go somewhere else? Because this is fucking everywhere. This is everywhere. Every town, every city, every state that I've ever lived in is the same. I mean, the numbers might be a little bit different, but these budgets are increasing everywhere. And the only way to, well, I don't know the way to defeat it, but I know that it helps to have, you know, half a dozen people in a room who are all coming up and wasting their time, you know, because they are...
Even though it was one of their guys, and I say their guys, one of the people that wants them to have more power, that got up and made 7 or 8 proposals
Yeah, he spent just as much time arguing his case as we did, arguing,
and then
and they were all illegal.
Well, was it him or someone else that requested that James withdraw a proposal?
No, that was someone else. But he was also making a lot of comments
and then,
as well.
So you made the suggestion to him to withdraw his proposal.
Uh-huh.
You're like, you're standing up here complaining about us wasting time. Why don't you withdraw your proposal?
And here's what I said. I said, well, where is it at?
If it fails, it fails.
If it fails, it fails. Let the people decide. Don't change it. Stop trying to amend everything. Let the people decide who are voting in March.
And then,
if it fails, it fails.
And then when the moderator on the final vote shut off the microphone as Nick Ryder was standing there
patiently
to speak.
Patiently.
And so I challenged his ruling of shutting off the microphones, and he was like, nope. And I challenge your ruling, and then all right, voice vote. Who agrees with me? And everybody shouted, aye.
There was like 3 challenges to the moderator, and they were all they all failed by voice vote. Even though you specifically said that all votes should be secret ballot.
Yeah, he said, I interpret that to mean all substantive votes.
And not only did you submit 1 5-paper signature, 5 signatures on a paper, you submitted 2 just in case they didn't like the first one. And he decided that he was only going to vote on secret vote on the ones that he wanted to vote on.
Right.
And all the rest or no.
And so Nick Ryder stands there and shouts, let the voters decide. And somebody yelled to him, we are the voters. He said, no, you're a small percentage of the voters.
So this goes to the larger part of the process is this goes to some kind of ballot that the
regular ballot on March 11th,
which about 1,500 people are going to vote on.
Okay,
out of the 17,000,
and whoever the entrenched parties can campaign for one side of the vote.
They're on their own shows right now, telling their flock, what to do and what not to do. And so this has been out for the last month. This is
not only that, but all of the things regarding a budget all say the school board recommends you vote this way.
Which is, by the way, one of my warrants. One of my warrants specifically said, which, by the way, is a legislative thing. It has to be changed in Concord.
Doesn't matter. The Keene City Council does shit that they don't have the authority to do all the time.
Oh, you like how that works? They can make ordinances that conflict with
state law.
But hey, when I try to do it, no,
I'm out of order.
I'm out of order. I'm a little peon. I'm a fucking servant.
So it got changed to shall the district repeal the authority to shall the district ratify the authority, which means if you vote yes, then you're agreeing, yes, they have the right to do whatever the fuck they want. If you vote no, and even if 99.999% of the people vote no, it doesn't fucking change anything.
So do you guys think that this is...
I should take the ballot and wipe my ass on it before I stick it in their little ballot reader? That's probably a good idea, but it might make the machine dirty.
It probably wouldn't go in there. it probably if it's all crumpled up, it's probably not going to slide in there as well. And if they see it all crumpled up, like you fucking fisted it,
yeah, they're going to know.
They're going to be like, no, you're one of the mass wipers, aren't you? We're not going to accept this. You're going to have to fill out another one.
So, do you guys think, when you look at these people, having spent 6 hours with them yesterday, do you think this is rational? I mean, it's not rational, but...
No, they're not rational.
I was going to call it rational self-interest, but it's not rational because it's not sustainable, obviously, for much longer.
And it's also not their self-interest.
It's not logical,
for the majority.
But for them, it's very rational because it's a pay increase.
Perceived self-interest, right? Because this happened in the Midwest, where all the unions said, "Give us more money, give us more, yay, more money every year," and then the businesses were.
And in 10 years or
the businesses were gone.
Years, they'll be these people who voted on all these things will be moving out, and they'll be going to another community.
We need to increase the pay of the teachers so that they can have a living wage, so that they can afford the high tax rates here in Keene.
Right. So do you think it's their perception of self-interest, or do you think or maybe it's a combination of two? Maybe this is the religion of the state and the school, because the cause of the left for a century has been the schools, and the schools are this the schools are like this holy place.
If you can't get a job without them.
It reminds me.
There's no possible way that you could function in later life unless you spend the first 12, 13 years of your life in schools.
Well,
otherwise you're useless. You're just gonna be trailer trash for the rest of eternity.
It reminds me of a quote from The West Wing, and I never really watched the show, but I happened to have stumbled across one episode several years ago where they were talking about cutting some school program, and whatever character it was playing the fictional president made a quote of, "We can't do that because we can't admit that we're failing."
Yeah.
So, no, they can't, cut the budget of the school, even though they do claim that the $1 million increased budget was actually cut.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, if we didn't cut anything, then it would be this because of all the automatic increases of things. So it's one of those things to where they can't say, no, we are not raising the cost at all, because that would admit that they're failing. No, just throw more money at it. Throw more money at it.
That's the solution.
More money will fix it.
That's the liberal solution. Keep throwing money at it, and it will go away.
Well, yeah, and it's also the biggest excuse for failure. We didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
Oh,
and blame it on something else. Blame it on the buildings. Blame it on the state. Blame it on some other party, and the people will understand, and they'll give you more money.
Yeah. Wow.
So, hey, we are going to have to take a break. It's about that time. It's been an hour. We're going to leave you with some Gorillaz, which we haven't played on the show yet.
I like Gorillaz.
Daryl's probably never heard of this band because he doesn't listen to any music.
Oh, I thought you meant the animals that lived in the zoo.
These are some. I don't know how clean these guys are, but they are.
Or the Pittsburgh State College.
They are British.
Football.
I don't know how often they bathe, so they might be dirty gorillas. I'm not sure. This particular song is "November Has Come," and the featuring.
We should have played this 4 months ago.
Well, actually, the rapper. Good point. So, if you actually looked at the show notes, you could have said, "Hey, look." I just wanted to tell you. I noticed that the title of the song was "November Has Come." We're playing this in the wrong month. Why don't you hold off? Why don't you just fucking hold off? Daryl, look at the show fucking notes.
Hey, I looked. I didn't pay attention, but I looked.
So anyways, I didn't realize that the rapper in this song is MF Doom, who actually played in a song that we played a couple of months ago, probably in November.
Okay, so
I just played the wrong song in the wrong month. But this is Gorillaz' "November Has Come." Guys, we're going to see you in a couple of minutes. Take it easy.
Slow it down some, no split, clown bum. Your gold hit sound dumb, hold it now, crown them. Where you found them at, got them round town. Could've drowned in it, would've floated, bloated, voted, sugar-coated, loaded, hip shooter. Draw for the poor, free coffee at the banks. Hit through the straw, none more for me, thanks. That blanks the roar, that dank sure stank lit. Sank past the pit for more hardcore prank spit. Crank it on blast, roll past Front Street. Blew the whole spot like some old ass with skunk meat. These kids is too fast, juiced off a junk tree. Who could get looser off a crunk or a funk beat?
Something is starting today. Where did it go? Why you want it to be? Where you know November has come. It's gone away. Something is starting today. Where did it go? Why you want it to be? Where you know November has come. It's gone away.
Bye. Can you dig it like a spigot? My guess is yes you can, like can I kick it wicked? Lick a shot if you happy and you know it as you clap your hands to the thick snot of a poet flowing. Rope a pen and I'm in. Cope hymen, dope a rhyming, more worth than the Hope Diamond. Acquired off the black market. A wire tapping couldn't target a jar spit. The rapid fire spark lit. Zit. A rapper bug zapper, and it don't matter after if there's a thug or dapper. Plug your trap or it's maximum exposure. The beast got family members asking them for closure. Send them a gun and tell them clean it. Then go get the nun who said her son didn't mean it. She wore a filled-in thong on Billabong and said, nah, for real, I'm a gorilla, John.
Something started today. Where did it go? Why you want it to be? Where you know November has come. When it's gone away. Something started today. Where did it go? Why you want it to be? Where you know November has come. When it's gone away. When it's gone away.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Hour 2 of Black Sheep Rising. What up? Yeah, we're back. So let's not talk about politics anymore. I know that
Okay.
it really, like you said, Brett, you know,
Did you start the timer?
here you are getting angry, listening to just listening to our conversation. It was driving you crazy.
Well, I mean, I feel for you guys, and it's like, yeah, you're right. That old kind of political thinking just starts back up, and I'm like, well, how can bad things happen to them? Mm-hmm. You know, and that's really what it is.
And now that you're a resident of Keene, it's now you're part of it.
Inhabitant.
Now,
He might not declare residency in Keene.
Now you're
we
part
don't
of it.
know. We don't want to throw labels onto him like some people did to us.
I mean, with low IQ and whatnot, and
Oh no, I meant in the Slantinel article they called us both residents,
well,
and I don't declare residency.
I don't even notice that kind of stuff because I do.
I do because
live
I
here.
got charged with being a resident without fulfilling the obligations of residency.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not be surprised if they point to a newspaper article and said, "See, it says here Daryl Perry's a resident."
Yeah, I have no problem being a resident. I do have a problem with some of the laws and legalizations that are heaped on my shoulders because I'm a resident.
Well, there are other legal things that are related to residency, which is why I don't want to declare residency.
Yeah, I completely understand. So
I'm not a resident until I declare it.
That's my interpretation, as well as the interpretation of the NHCLU.
Interesting.
And there's actually going to be a state Supreme Court case that hears that in the not too distant future.
All right, we ready?
Yes.
And now for something completely different.
So
You're giving me drugs.
I'm giving you because you are the Penguin Man.
Yes.
You are Batman's nemesis. One of them, anyways. I saw this and I immediately thought of Daryl, because his icon on his little show there is a penguin,
Liberty Penguin.
and I don't know what the whole deal is and all, but what is the deal, by the way? What is it in penguins and Daryl? What is it?
When I was a kid, I wanted a pet penguin because penguins are just neat sort of creatures. And also, there was a move back in, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s, to get the Libertarian Party to officially adopt the penguin as its animal mascot.
I didn't even know that.
Because penguins are peaceful creatures. And there was a design created called the Liberty Penguin. And so I've modified that design to be sort of the mascot of my publishing company and my radio shows and the other things that I do.
Outstanding. And now it's been taken over by the wily coyote, the wily porcupine. So what do you think about that? So what do you think about the porcupine being the most peaceful and defensive of the creatures in the list?
I wouldn't say that porcupines are the most peaceful. There's definitely the strong self-defense aspect of a porcupine, whereas penguins don't really have that. So I guess some people would equate penguins to being pacifists.
Yeah, but I don't know how many animals porcupines are attacking.
They're not attacking, but they can defend the fuck out of themselves.
Well, that's
Penguins don't have quills that they can shoot into your nose.
but that's why I think they're a better representative of what the Libertarian Party represents, or the Voluntarist Party represents. Is that, we're not necessarily going to take this lying down. We might stab back. I don't know how well penguins are able to defend themselves against orcas. I don't know how well.
I don't know.
porcupines are able to-
I like the concept of penguins.
Yeah, they're
because
definitely-
penguins are cute. They always look like they're dressed up for a party,
and they always look huge.
They are big.
My whole life, I always thought penguins were like friggin' 4 foot tall.
Oh, I think they are. Some of them are.
Some of them are
The emperor penguins.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys are just little. They're the size of chickens.
Oh yeah,
They're little,
yeah.
tiny little guys.
Yes.
Except whenever the camera is so tricky that it makes you believe they're huge. And yet
Oh my goodness.
Penguins are the size of Big Bird.
there's a reason why orcas are able. There's a reason why sharks are able to feed off of these guys is because they really aren't that big. They're bite sized. They're like little chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
But this article by Huffington, depressed penguins given drugs at British sanctuary.
Maybe they're depressed because they're in a fucking British sanctuary. Do you ever think of that, asshole?
That's the first couple paragraphs, Daryl. It talks about the fact that they are in a
Oh,
sanctuary.
might help if I actually read the articles that you put in the...
In the show notes?
I look at the titles and I'm like, okay, that looks interesting. That looks interesting. Not really.
Here it goes. Winter weathering getting you down? You're not alone. And yes, it does suck here in New England. It's been snowing for quite some time.
It's a vitamin D deficiency.
By the way, the snow has just surpassed, I don't know if you saw my mailbox. The snow is higher than my mailbox. How'd you like that? Of course, that's the snow that comes right off of the street, so that's been plowed and it's been pushed up.
Yeah.
So you got that snow wave right there. But Humboldt penguins, I'm not sure how big they are. I guess if we click on that, I might say something. But Humboldt penguins living at a British wildlife sanctuary are so bummed over the constant wind and rain that they're being medicated for depression.
I would also be bummed if I were in Britain in a wildlife sanctuary and getting rained on all the time because I'm in fucking Britain.
Exactly. I think the majority of people who were bummed out moved from that place 300 years ago to come experience the sunny suns of Florida and California to escape this nastiness and the gruel that they eat, of course, in the tea
In
time.
Britain?
Have you ever been?
300 years ago,
I don't want to do my
I don't think there were
anti-British
that
rant.
many people living in
Because
what
it's
is
too
now
anti?
California.
It's too negative?
It's very negative, and it's not a slight against British people today, but I used to be a history teacher, and I might have done this with students once, but I do it every chance I get today. I refer to the British as the idiots of history because they caused so many problems for so many people, and it was really just a result of their own stupidity.
Hold on, it's all William the Conqueror's fault.
Oh, we're going back a long time then.
It's all William the Conqueror's fault. Because, no, think about it. If William the Conqueror had not left Normandy to go across the English Channel, then the British tribes and the Angles never would have been unified, thus never creating the British Empire to begin with.
Yeah, well,
It's all William the Conqueror's fault.
well, it gets worse from there. I mean, yeah,
I'm just saying he started it. He was the snowflake that caused the avalanche.
Okay.
And don't you think that we as a country are following in the exact footsteps of
Oh, no,
England
see, that's
300 years ago? I mean, we're doing the exact same thing.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
We're still fighting the same argument.
This entire country and its impact in the world is just a residual of the idiots of history.
It's all William the Conqueror's fault.
Are we ever going to be able to fix this shit, or is this going to be a continual backward cycle?
We can fix it when we die.
Are we going to continually run backwards on a treadmill on the fucking train tracks?
I think what we need, and this is where people start to say, "Is this man serious?" And I start to, ask that question of myself: Am I serious? But what I think would be progress if there was a way that it could be done without real strong prejudice against British people or any kind of negativity or isolationism, is a disassociation campaign from the British. And
maybe there should be a big body of water between us and them, and then we wouldn't have to pay attention to them.
But I mean, one thing that I would like to see is when the Queen comes here, and you watch like CNN, and you see like the executive branch of government, and they're all running around like, the Queen is coming, the Queen is coming. Like it's 1370, you know? No one should be, when the Queen comes, everyone should just laugh at her. They should just point and laugh like you stupid, inbred British welfare queen. That's what they should chant.
The funny thing
and I'm
is,
against chanting.
She's not really British.
No, they're German.
She's German. So, hold on. If you don't like chanting, and Ian doesn't like chanting, so maybe you and Ian could meet up in Central Square one day and lead a rally of no more chanting, no more chanting, no more chanting.
When it comes to this inbred German welfare queen, and I always refer to her as the welfare queen of England, because they get about $60 million a year for doing nothing.
And not too long ago, she applied...
They get the Keen school budget every year for doing nothing.
She applied for assistance to heat all of her palaces.
From who? That's
the British government. They were offering assistance to poor families that needed help covering their heating expenses.
That can't be a real story.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's
either that or CNN got spoofed by The Onion.
No, maybe they have like their own PR department that has like an Onion. Like they have the royal family PR department, but they also have like their own Onion. And like, you know what would be fucking hilarious if we put out a story about how we apply for welfare in addition to the 62 million that we already get to heat our palaces. That's the kicker.
Because some of the palaces are old and drafty, and it takes a lot to heat them.
Right.
Speaking of The Onion, there was another article that I pulled up. I guess it's slogans that are real, and I think this is one of the only ones
Honesty in advertising.
Yes,
Truth
exactly.
in advertising.
Exactly. And I guess this is one of the only ones I didn't really agree with, because I really enjoy The Onion, because I really think it does. It's not for stupid people. This one says The Onion, real news for dumb people.
Oh, but you get it? It's the people who think it's real are dumb.
That works. But in reality, it's I guess real news. Real, that's the key word.
Yeah.
For dumb people. Everyone else gets it, and it becomes satire, and it becomes, a way of maybe, and this might even be a way of, alleviating yourself, distancing yourself from the news, because it sucks so much.
A couple of days ago, I was glancing over Ian's shoulder as he was doing something online.
He cuts these up all the time.
He does, but it was one of those things of, he had shown me a video. He was like, "Oh, you've got to see this video," and it was some YouTube prankster video, and then that was done, and he goes back to his news, but I'm still glancing over at the screen, and he's reading a news article that I thought was from The Onion, but it was real, and then he pulled up an Onion article that I thought was real, but it was from The Onion. So it's
all
like
in the same 5 minutes.
It was within 2 minutes.
Yeah, because these articles. Look at South Korea. I'm sorry, guys. North Korea. When they had that the North Korean dictatorship Onion article that came out like 4 or 5 months ago, they thought it was real, and they actually highlighted it on their sites. Saying, "Hey, look, this is what the Americans think about us." And the whole thing was satire, and they were making fun of the fact that the dictatorship is retarded. And you're oppressing your people, and I wish I had that one available.
And there was the joke story that a bunch of news agencies picked up, where it was titled, what was it titled? North Koreans land a man on the sun. Mm-hmm. And a lot of American news agencies didn't pay attention that it was satire and thought that the North Korean media was actually saying that we landed a man on the sun. They claimed.
Okay. Well, that's a much more acceptable mistake than the people running around the newsroom at CNN saying, North Koreans beat us. They put a man on the surface. How do they do it?
Well, one of the things in there, aside from the fact that they claim it only took 4 hours to get to the sun, which would have beat every speed record known to man, also says, we landed him at 3 a.m. because we knew it would be dark then.
Hey, Daryl,
We have the technology.
No one knows how things work. I mean, people don't know that it takes more than 4 hours to get to the sun. People don't know.
It takes more than 4 hours to get to the fucking moon.
People don't know that. It takes more than 4 hours to get to Manchester. Well, not Manchester. Somewhere.
Manchester, England.
Yes, exactly.
Which is where they've got depressed fucking penguins over in England.
We're about
don't know
4
that.
hours from New York City.
Yeah. You want to do the rest of the story?
You're the one that read it.
Humboldts, which is a penguin, by the way, in the wild on the coast of Peru and Chile, can be subjected to some pretty wild extremes of weather. What they don't get, though, is weeks of almost daily downpours and high winds. Lindsay Crawford at Scarborough Sea Life Sanctuary was quoted as saying in The Guardian, "After the first weeks, our birds were just a bit subdued. But after a month of now, they are thoroughly fed up and miserable, much like the rest of us." Because that's how Englanders are, right?
And yeah,
I wonder if they've become like...
It's tea time.
Well, no, but like if the penguins are walking around... You know, I see it as kind of like a passive-aggressive British thing to do, is like when you're upset, you say good day. But
good day.
You're all polite.
No.
You're really steaming up inside.
Oh, no, it comes out. It's not passive-aggressive. It's aggressive-aggressive. But you say it as... It sounds like a polite greeting, but you say it in an angry voice.
So these penguins, in other words, these penguins are fed up. They're sick and tired. They're pissed. But they're English now, and so they are being...
So people come up...
They're being seen as polite about it, but if you're English, you can pick up on it.
I still think it's funny that it says they're thoroughly fed up and miserable like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they're just walking away from the people at the sanctuary saying, "Good day, sir. Good day, sir. Good day, sir."
Wearing a little monocle.
Good day, sir. And Billy Madison is following them around saying, "Oh, the people at the sanctuary are very nice, Mr. Penguin. Good day to you, sir. Mr. Madison, good day." It's a real shit show. It's bad.
The sanctuary says depressed penguins are more prone to illness, so they're medicated to help keep them healthy. Penguin mood disorders have been well documented. In 2011, the Humboldts at the sanctuary were given herbal remedies to ease their stress after 3 intruders broke into their enclosure. The Daily Mail reported at that time. The penguins were so traumatized that many were unable to sleep. And in a 2007 film, Encounters at the End of the World, filmmaker Werner Herzog documented disoriented and deranged penguins, including one who appeared to be headed towards suicide.
Oh.
You've got to click on that so that we can see what a suicidal penguin looks like.
Okay, I'm going to actually open another tab.
And this is a YouTube video.
Rock, and so she, as soon as she can, she escapes with the rock.
Dr. Ainley, is there such thing as insanity among penguins? I try to avoid a definition of insanity or derangement. I don't mean that a penguin might believe he or she is Lenin or Napoleon Bonaparte.
But could they just go crazy because they've had enough of their colony?
Well, I've never seen a penguin bashing its head against a rock. They do get disoriented. They end up in places they shouldn't be, long way from the ocean.
They're so cute when they walk.
These penguins are all heading to the open water to the right. But one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony.
They're showing a penguin standing in a field by himself.
Shortly
Everyone's walking away from him.
We saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him
I never seen anything like this.
back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains.
Wow.
So he says, fuck it, I'm going to live in the mountains.
No, there's truth behind this. Look at this shit. What, he's looking back? Does he keep going? Does he keep going? Holy shit!
One of these disoriented or deranged penguins showed up at the New Harbor diving
Look how small
camp,
they are.
already some 80 kilometers away from where it should be.
The size of chickens.
The rules for the humans are: do not disturb or hold up the penguin. Stand still and let him go on his way.
Good day, sir.
And he's not even...
Good day.
Yeah, he's
and
not...
here, he's heading off into the interior of the vast continent. With 5,000 kilometers ahead of him, he's heading towards certain death.
And he's not just trudging up. He is briskly pacing. I mean, he's taken off at a brisk pace.
I said good day.
Wow, Daryl, thanks for bringing this all down and making me click on that. That's sad. But I mean...
Really sad.
But that's...
Now, when it said, like, a penguin that tried to commit suicide, I thought it was going to be a picture of a penguin jumping directly into the mouth of a shark.
I know.
Something.
I guess I thought the same way. And I guess in reality, suicide isn't just a human motivation. It's a real thing. And I mean, once your body gets to a point, and once the chemicals in your bodies reach a point, you know, something in your body decides, hey, it's not worth it. It's time to go walk into the mountains and freeze to death.
What a bummer that was.
Truly, truly, truly very depressing. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you for that.
Wow.
But I guess it's good to know, though. So, and also there's a lot of gay penguins. So I mean, it seems like penguins are very, they're role models for what is natural.
And some penguin flocks, or I don't think flock is the right term. Some species of penguin are also monogamous. So they will, once they select a mate, they have that same mate for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. It's just like chimpanzees. You have the chimpanzees and the bonozos. I mean, you have they pretty much live on one side of the river to the next versus the next. And they're completely different. They look the same.
Yeah.
And yet their behavior is completely opposite as far as sexual behavior and whatnot, and family and tribal behavior. So yeah, I mean, I think that I think these tendencies are in us. It's just in how you shake up the mixer and spill it out, and it's whatever comes to the surface. I think there's so many combinations of what we could end up as, and so yeah, you're gonna have all types.
You know, when we started reading the story, I was like, oh, okay, well, they're depressed because they're in captivity, right? Like,
I thought they were depressed because they were in Britain.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, which is essentially a kind of captivity. But, you know, Jacques Cousteau said one time, what was he, an oceanographer?
Yes. Deep sea.
He said, you know, we try to study. I think it was a justification for what he tried to do, because he's like, you know, we're trying to study these complex marine life forms in captivity. And obviously, whatever the results we get, it immediately made me think of school and drugging kids for like ADHD. You know, we can't expect that observing beings in captivity, especially if they're as complex as marine animals, that we would get anything other than, you know, total distortion from that environment.
Right.
You know, it's like watching animals in a zoo. That's not the natural behavior of animals either. Monkeys flipping people off.
Exactly. I mean, and this is, so usually when you hear about...
Or flinging poo at people.
Yeah, but when you see the monkeys peeing in their own mouths, and these are wild monkeys, it's like, well, these guys are just, they've lost their minds. Have you seen that YouTube video? It's horrible.
No,
yeah,
I saw the YouTube video of the baby monkey, or at least I guess it's a baby monkey that's got his finger in his butt, and then he sniffs it, and then he falls out of the tree.
Have you seen the monkey who's doing he's reclining, and he's got his legs up, and he's actually peeing into his mouth. He's just drinking it up.
I think YouTube was invented so people could see the video he was talking about.
And that one as well. But I mean,
maybe they're smart too, and they're just like, hey, and they don't care. It's not like a hang up for them.
Maybe
so they see people with cameras, like, dude, pee in your mouth.
Maybe he's thirsty. No, I thought that was a wild monkey. But I mean, usually when you hear about these animals in captivity, you usually hear about breeding problems. They just won't fuck.
Yeah.
They just won't get. They can't get it up. They can't do their business. And by the way, this is a problem that I'm having with even my animals. I have 2 rabbits who aren't fucking.
Well,
which is when you can't get rabbits to breed.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean that's you. I mean you've
you've got them in the fucking I Love Lucy situation over there with separate beds.
No, you put them together and there'll be problems because they'll tear each other up. And that's what I've
by banging each other every 27 seconds for 10.
That could be a problem. There's a rawness problem. There's a ripping the fur off of the female problem. There are problems. There's a reason why you don't put them together. In the wild, a doe rabbit would be able to get away and go relax and recover before she encounters another buck. If you put them in the same cage together, she can't get away, and the buck's always going to be there, and you'll have issues where the buck might even damage her where she can't reproduce.
And what kind of man immediately wants to have sex again?
A rabbit man.
Damn. Rabbit man. That's kind of scary. That's a scary thought. A man rabbit.
I wonder what would happen if you would give a rabbit like a small dose of Viagra.
Oh, I don't think that would be good.
No, I think that would be probably very dangerous. He would probably be running through the wild.
Like a very, very small dose.
And he would trip over it, and he would just get it caught in some shrubs, and he would damage himself. Yeah, probably not a good thing. I don't think it's necessary. I think that what we need to do is be able to harness the blood type of the rabbit and just inject it
But if you've ever actually watched rabbits fuck...
It's hilarious.
Well, one, it's hilarious, and two, it's very short.
No, it's in short spurts, so they keep doing it over and over and over. So every 5 minutes, they go back to doing another 30-second spurt,
15 seconds.
So it's like, hey, could you imagine hitting orgasm every 30 seconds? Take 30 seconds orgasm, take a 2-minute break, and then go another 30 seconds orgasm. Take a 2-minute, 3-minute, maybe a 5-minute break now because it's the second time orgasm.
Pull the back muscle.
No, you would if you were having, I think, orgasms that frequently, you would make yourself very susceptible to muscle injuries.
And not only that, but I'm thinking rawness would probably be.
That's why you use lube, or just make sure that there's natural wetness.
Yeah, but there's only so much. Natural is not coming from this much that I'm talking about. But we're talking about skin penetration, which is ideal for STDs, and that's a big no-no. So I mean, I think that I don't know, and I don't know how many, 2, 3 times, 3 times. I don't need to go more than 3 times.
In what kind of a period of time?
In what period of time?
Oh, no, in one sitting, and I mean straight through.
I'd be good with 3 times a month.
I'm sure, dude. No. I mean, when I was 16, my record is 5, and that was overkill. It didn't need to go any further than that. I mean,
it was a month.
No, in a fucking no.
Because homie over here just said a month.
No, I would.
And then you said my record's 5. And I thought we were talking the same time
in
frame.
a sitting, in one sitting, and now it's not necessary. I mean,
I'm fine with 1.
1's good.
Yeah,
especially now that I don't, I can last longer. Back in my younger days, it was quick. In fact, when I was 16, I never even counted my first one. It didn't count. It was so quick usually that this doesn't register. So I'm not going to count it. I'm going to go ahead and wait till the second one, and that's number 1.
Nice.
But the heart. Yeah,
so it's like the way you're numbering the fucking Black Sheep Rising episode.
Now you
started with episode 0.
Now you got
this one doesn't count.
Maybe it's stuck with me. Maybe
this one doesn't count.
Episode 1, which is actually 00, is the pilot. No. Check this out.
If Conan has had gay sex, it doesn't count because it was only once. And it doesn't count until the second time.
Right.
Listen, but here's the hardest part about it. And I would like the ladies to know all the trials and tribulations and the horror that I went through to stop. It's natural to want to stop because the sensation is so involved. It gets so powerful that to keep going, it hurts. It actually fucking hurts. It's so great. So to keep going after the first one, like it never happened, that's fucking hard, and that's fucking dedication. And I want you ladies to know that I fucking was working for you. And I wanted to make sure that you got yours, and I got mine. Well, I got 2 of mine. You got 1 of yours.
I feel like you should be talking slower, and there should be music.
Yeah, baby.
I think that you're absolutely right.
I don't think Conan was ever taught the basics of lick it before you stick it.
This is when I was 16, 17, 18.
That song
Yeah,
wasn't out.
early days. Yes,
You still should have known.
There was licking and there was rubbing and all that was in place, but it doesn't matter. I was fucking so fresh that it doesn't matter.
Still, make sure she gets hers before you get yours.
No, that's always been a part of my philosophy. And that's why I skipped the first. Yes. Brett,
this makes no
does this make any sense to you?
No, it's been a long time since I've had access to regular sex. So,
Do you think it's because you're a member of the libertarian community? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I don't know. He used to. I don't know if you still have a smoking hot girlfriend, but I know at one time you did.
no, I'm very single.
Okay.
So,
Which by the way, by the way, I don't know what her particular political ideology is, but smoking hot, and there are quite a lot of smoking hot girls up here in the old New Hampshire, which I think it has been decided that there's no such thing as smoking hot libertarian types who actually are against the big government and whatnot, which has been completely nullified in our area because there's lots of hot girls up here.
Well, if you think about
they're
it,
not as many as us, but the male populace. But
of the number of people, and not to get back on the school board thing for too long, but of the number of liberty-minded people that went to the school board thing, there was only one female.
Two. There's two. Out of 12. So, yeah, that percentage was not good.
Two? I counted one.
Shauna and Puking Gang.
Julia.
Julia.
Yeah, I forgot about Julia. Okay, so two. 2 out of 12. And that is why people think that there's not a lot of women. It's because statistically, there's still a very small percentage of
it's
the
much,
people.
It's much
so
smaller.
to say there's a bunch of them implies that there's a large percentage.
Oh, compared to what I've put up with the rest of every other year of my life, yeah, I never knew women were libertarians until I got here to New Hampshire.
I knew that there were, but it's
but I didn't,
like 10, 15%, maybe 20.
Not even that, maybe. I didn't believe it. I thought it was all false. I thought it was fake.
just on another subject, is it normal for the dog to vibrate like he does?
Like a cat?
Yeah.
You keep thinking he's like a cat, and he's like most definitely not a cat.
No, but
he'll just sit there and shake.
I think I think he's cold, and he's not being able to suck enough heat. If you noticed, his bed is sitting right next to the main heater in the house, and that's the only thing that keeps him alive during the winter. When he goes out to do his business, he comes back shaking like a leaf.
Oh, yeah, he's shaking a little bit.
He is not a winter dog. If the power were to go out tonight,
he would be baking in the morning.
And I knew that it would not be coming on anytime soon. To help him out, to alleviate the pain and suffering from him, I would probably eat him in the morning because he would die within a couple of days.
You could wrap him. You could make like a swath.
Quite possibly, or I can just eat
That's
him.
better,
or just eat him because I want to live too.
That's true, but
you could eat the rabbits first, and then make him some sort of coat out of the rabbit fur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And I mean, anytime I'm in a tough situation and it's me and a dog, the first thing I say is, what do I need to do to avoid eating this dog? Because let's not be lazy, Brett, and just say, oh, it's no problem, I'll eat a dog.
Okay, and then what do I do for lunch tomorrow?
I'll just eat the dog.
I'll have food today by eating the dog. What do I do tomorrow?
That's true, because then you have a whole other day with no food and a whole lot of guilt.
I think that if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, if you are not living in an area and you're actually moving around, having a dog versus eating your dog is the best way to go because your dog provides so many benefits versus eating him for a couple 100,000, maybe 2,000, 3,000 calories worth of food.
You believe that?
This dog right here.
Yeah.
He's a small little guy.
Yeah, his liver's not that big.
He's a little bit.
Kidney's not that big.
He's a little bit bigger than a chicken.
He is a little bit bigger than a chicken.
So, but no,
He's got a bunch of bones.
having him as an alarm clock, having him as a burglar alarm, having him as a camp follower who is actually cleaning up after the human beings. You don't actually have to feed these bad boys. All you have to go do is shit in the woods, and that guy is happy.
Right.
He's going to clean up after you. And by the way, shit laying around is a bad thing. Dogs clean it up. They provide a service for human beings who don't want to live in their own shit. They do it naturally. They love it.
Yeah, they like puke.
They eat all kinds of nonsense. I mean, dogs really provide they're scavengers and they really provide a good benefit to human beings. There's a reason why they're
domesticated.
Cats eat rats.
Yeah.
Dogs eat shit. There's a reason why they're our best friends, and it didn't just happen in the last century. It's been going on since we've been domesticating animals, probably way before we were domesticating livestock.
Goes back to the day where a dog walked up to a guy and said, "Man,
dude, that shit."
I would eat a log of shit for you. I would. Let's just from this day on, best friends.
And the cat was like, you know what? I'm going to eat that rat for you. That's been eaten up of your grain.
Maybe the dogs domesticated us.
And that's why we are the way we are. We're turning into like pack animal, and we've lost our individual rights.
Yeah,
and now we're going to this whole pack
that's
animal
my theory.
mentality.
Well, it wasn't the dogs that did it, but somebody did, and maybe we can exempt us from that. But it's one of the ways I try to explain this to people who don't believe in that. There's groups that meet and plan, in secret, and that all these people that in academia and these intellectual communities, they don't actually have plans. It's like
in the school board members who meet after hours to all drink wine together.
Exactly. Well, that's low level. That's like a low level conspiracy. But I mean, if you think about it, it's not a conspiracy theory to say one time
or play golf together. People
realized they were smarter than animals, and if they built a fence around them, they could use them. Right? Now, what will a chicken give you? A good chicken will lay a couple hundred eggs and give you
a good chicken will lay 300 to 400 eggs.
400 eggs. Okay,
that's
so
couple. If they don't, you eat them, and then you get the meat from them.
All right, so 300 eggs. Let's say a chicken weighs 360 eggs, lays 360 eggs. So what's that? 30 dozen, $1,000 worth of eggs. And maybe
that's an egg a day for almost a year.
And when you consider the grain that you actually input, they eat 2 pounds of grain to every 1 pound of meat that they produce.
So let's say that the
chickens are the way to go. By the way,
the net worth of a chicken's life, let's say it's $2,000, right? Do you think nobody ever put that much thought? And then you look at all this shit. Here's how you farm chickens. Here's what the temperature needs to be. Here's where they lay the best
the guys
eggs.
who are making money off of chicken eggs,
yeah,
they thought about it.
Oh yeah, and so you look at a chicken farming operation, right? Chicken's IQ is 3. It can produce $2,000 for whoever owns it. You think nobody ever put that much thought into us?
Hold on,
us as in the.
How did you determine that the chicken's IQ is 3?
I've read that somewhere, but they're between 3 and 5. Which seemed really high to me. I thought it was -2. They're fucking idiots.
Chicken's pretty
I thought you had to have an IQ of 10 to even be able to stand up and have involuntary functions of your body.
His IQ.
I know that they have memory, and memory is very important. So they know where to go when I go out there. They know to stand to the side or they're going to get swatted.
Well, they probably have the survival instinct too.
Yes, exactly.
And they have probably they can. You can teach them routine. They taught pigeons routine.
They've taught goldfish routine.
Yeah,
goldfish have learned memory skills.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you look at all the work that's been put into controlling and making useful for an owner something as simple as a chicken, it would be foolish and naive to think that nobody ever did the same thing with human beings in mind, and they certainly did. And that's how we started the show tonight, talking about
penguins?
Shitty schools.
Oh yeah, back in hour 1. Let's go on with this old penguin article.
We're still
so that
doing
we can
this.
finish it up. We
Yeah.
can wrap it up and find out what actually happened. The sanctuary says depressed penguins are more prone to illness.
We
So
actually
they are
already read
medicated to
that.
help keep them healthy. Yeah, I know. I wanted to refresh the audience where we were at.
Okay.
Penguin mood disorders have been well documented. In 2011, the Humboldts at the sanctuary were given herbal remedies to ease their stress after 3 intruders broke into their enclosure. The Daily Mail reported at the time the penguins were so traumatized that many were unable to sleep. And we started way before. In 2007, Encounters, the End of the World filmmaker Werner Herzog documented disoriented and deranged penguins, including one who appeared to be headed toward suicide, which is a video we just watched.
Where the little guy decided that he wanted to become a Buddhist penguin monk and went off into the mountains.
He just walked
very rapidly.
right up in the mountains, and when the people followed him, he just
walked
kept on
even
walking,
faster.
and he walked briskly. He wasn't just this, which way do I go, George? Which way? And he was just taking off, man.
He did not look like Mopey the penguin.
Back at the sanctuary, Crawford said the mood meds appear to be working. So the big question is, in 2007, they used herbal remedies. The question is, what are they using?
In 2011, they used herbal remedies. In
I'm sorry.
2007, they watched the little guy go become a Buddhist penguin monk.
Thank you. So in 2013-14, what type of remedies are they using to medicate these poor penguins? Is it still herbal?
Prozac.
Or are they injecting Prozac into these poor guys' foods? They're doing the trick so far, but we are all praying for the weather to change and at least a few successive days of sunshine to give the penguins the tonic they really need, she said. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they were doing some sort of thing of give the penguins Prozac. That way let's see what Prozac does to a penguin.
Well, I guarantee that the Animal Sanctuary is a government program in Britain. So,
of course,
obviously, it's they can,
and not just subsidized. It's actually a government program.
Well, or it probably has government subsidies through whatever the Ministry of the Interior. I'm thinking that's a real thing. Sounds very British, and when anything is in the government custody and it's not doing well mentally. Well, that's taxpayer money, and this was a lot of the corruption I saw when I worked in a private boarding school. So the school was in Vermont, about an hour west of here, and all the kids were in state custody. So, their health insurance came through Medicaid, and wouldn't you know that the school had a very cozy relationship with a ton of pharmaceutical companies.
Of course they did.
Because nobody's watching that tax money. Mm-hmm. And we're talking, keeping a kid in that custody for a year, for some kids, $120,000, $130,000. The states were paying the school. So a lot of that, and I remember I was the med person in a building of about 50 kids, and I would distribute all the meds 4 times a day. There was this one boy. There's probably a lot of these, but I remember this one boy. He had fetal alcohol syndrome, so he was like 11 or 12, and weighed about 70 pounds. So he was a tiny kid, and gave him 35 pills a day.
35 pills a day?
7 pills 5 times a day.
Good Lord, that's a lot of pills.
Notice no change.
That is so lame.
Notice no change in his behavior. So I learned a lot about the public systems for helping people when I was working in a at least ostensibly private institution.
It's horrible. It's and they go to bed every night. These people who run these organizations, and there's I don't think there are that many criminals involved in these programs.
No,
but the majority of these folks, they go to bed thinking that they've done a service to society, that they have done a good thing, that these drugs are helping society, and that these are people that my children won't have to deal with because I've medicated them to the point where they're safe.
It's a conspiracy of ignorance and obedience.
And there are, I think there are very few actual. So we were talking about the old the folks at the school board who were the criminal types who were actually there to make loot. and I don't think that number is very high. I think it's very low. I think pretty much everyone on that school board are there because they think they know the answer, the solution, and that is however they try to solve it, which is usually more money.
Right.
But at the end of the day, their solution is it's ass backwards.
Yep.
And they can get away with it because they're going to get that money whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
So, Brett, this is your first time on this show, correct?
Yep.
So,
all right. So there's a segment that we do.
What did you learn?
Called What Did You Learn?
Okay.
What did you learn tonight?
Well, I actually learned a lot. And, I didn't know what was going to happen when I came here. And
this must be very refreshing to Daryl because no one learns anything on this show.
No, I mean, because I was going to be like, hey, guys, don't be involved in politics because, you'll frustrate yourselves and you'll get stressed.
Oh, yeah, that definitely happens.
Yeah. But I got more of an insider's look at what you were doing and why, and I've been educated, and I look forward to sharing this with my audience because I think they might actually find it somewhat edifying.
I hope that, and this is, by the way, yesterday's event is not over. I know that Daryl is, he has his plan.
I've got a plan to make a call tomorrow.
I stand by his plan. I'm going to help him in any way that I can. What I thought was done yesterday was completely illegal by the laws that they say they follow. Illegal completely, and I plan to do whatever is possible to let the public know, let the state know, let everyone know that what was done yesterday was pretty nasty. It was nasty business.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that now that you're here in our area and our community, that you might want to, at least voice your opinion and help, because there were some suggestions that were made that some of the warrants were not written correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree. There was one in particular that I didn't like. That I realized was not written properly.
Could have been written better.
It could have been written in another way. Except, guess what? The only man who helped me writing these things was Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
And I submitted these multiple times to our community and letting them know that the freedom community, the liberty community, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing. Proof check. Let me know what you think. And I didn't get any. I didn't get any feedback.
Right.
So I submitted what I had, and that's what we went with. And I mean, maybe in the future that people know that I'm gonna continue to do this. I'm not pulling back. As long as they keep sending me that fucking tax bill, I'm not pulling back. I'm going to be throwing in their signs. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it difficult for them to get my money from me. And so this is not over. The game has only begun. The game has only just begun.
So Conan, what did you learn tonight?
I learned, Mr. Daryl, and it troubles my heart. I learned that even penguins come to find a time in their lives that it's no more. It's not worth it. The chemicals just don't add up. Because I believe that's what we run off of. It's all about the chemicals. It's not about memory. It's not about experience. It's not about. I mean, those things have a place. Those things take their place, or they have their moments. But at the end of the day, it's just chemicals. And even penguins have chemical composition problems, and some penguin might just decide to up and walk into the mountains like a Buddhist monk to go freeze in the mountains. It's very troubling. It's very sad to realize that that's a fact. But I guess at the same time, it's good to know. It's a good thing to know that if we ever want to move to the next level, we really have to take into account the whole chemical composition. Take it, and control that aspect. Whether that's going to ever happen, I don't know in my lifetime. But hey, I don't, and I don't know the solutions. Just my 2 cents.
And you learned the exact same thing that I learned, so I'm not going to repeat you. And now I'm going to turn into how you normally are. And damn it, I don't know what I learned because somebody already said the thing.
I usually say I don't know what I learned because I didn't have long enough time to think about it.
Right. So I would say that I learned a little bit more about Brett tonight.
Good.
That, Brett thought that we were kind of, and correct me if I'm misinterpreting your previous thoughts, thought that we were wasting our time going to the school board meeting that lasted nearly 6 hours, and that it may or may not have been an exercise in futility.
No, I'm not going to say that I think you're wasting your time. I woke up at 9:30 and I said to myself, should I go to that? And I had something that was more important to me to do with my time, right? We're all different.
Sleep.
No, I had I had a lot of stuff to do related to my show. So, I always say when I see people doing things, and this is a conversation I've had with Ian, it's a conversation that I've had with Derek, it's a conversation I had with Michelle Seven, all at once, actually, and on one of my after shows. I try not to look at what other people do and say, well, that's stupid. I try to understand, what's their hierarchy of values, why is that important to them? Hopefully, maybe I can learn something. Because the easiest thing to do, and you can see political people do this all the time, they see somebody doing something or standing for something they disagree with, they say, oh, fucking idiot, and then they just go back to believing whatever makes them comfortable.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I look forward to being challenged by seeing the things that other people do. And I learned a ton of shit tonight, so hopefully there'll be more experiences like this in the future.
And I also learned that Conan's email doesn't always work properly.
We're gonna get on top of that. Oh shit! We didn't cover.
There was a viewer submitted video that luckily was sent to me and Conan. And so I was able to get that sent over to him, and it appears as though you have it downloaded twice in your VLC there. If you go back to VLC, open up your VLC player.
Yes.
It's listed twice.
There you go.
I watch Black Sheep Rising every week. You see that sexy stud, that sexy muffin, Daryl Perry. Oh my god. And we were supposed to have a few drinks, but that son of a bitch Conan showed up, and I was so drunk that I accidentally slept with Conan instead of Daryl. And I felt like shit, man. But now I can't stop thinking about you, Conan. You never call me, and I really want to see you again. I know we were drunk, but did you forget all those promises you made? You said we're gonna be together forever, and you never called me. So Conan, please call me, because you're so much better than Daryl. Call me Conan.
Oh, that's horrible, Daryl.
Who is this woman?
It's fucking horrible,
dude. Well, what the hell happened here?
All right. Well, listen. Let me just say that alcohol is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
I do apologize that I forgot your number. Now that I'm sober, I can't even remember where I might have left that number. I'll be going through my records immediately after the show to go ahead and try to find those. Daryl, I'm sorry that I know. I mean, I'm not a sharer either, so I mean,
nor am I.
I don't know what I'm going to do about this except try to find that number, and I'll maybe tell you about it later on. But I'm sorry, I don't know who the lovely lady on the show is.
Well, you even forgot her name.
I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about that. Especially when I'm Conan, and I think there might be a language barrier.
Yeah,
best kind.
She sounded like she had an accent.
Most definitely. Hey, loved the video. That was fun. Whether it was true or not, I'll never know. I drink a lot. Hey, are we about that time? Did you say what you learned?
Yes.
Excellent. So let's get this show on the road. Hey, you've been watching Black Sheep Rising. You can catch everything we just talked about, the archives, the show notes, the links, they're going to be at blacksheeprising.org. If you'd like to leave us a message, if you'd like to leave us a video, you can leave them at fucking Daryl's at his website, or you can leave them everywhere else. The Facebook page, the website is show@blacksheeprising.org. You can leave them on the YouTube video, which will also be available to you.
And the voicemail. Well, what's the voicemail?
Voicemail is, I haven't memorized it yet, 267-521-2771. Last week, someone left a very intriguing voicemail. We got a big kick out of it. We think it's Stephen Hawking. We're not sure. Doesn't like the show, but it was very, very entertaining. Leave us a message. It doesn't have to be entertaining. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be anything, except just leave one. I mean, that's all we're looking for. Tell us if you like it or not. Daryl, anything you want to drop?
Nope. I'm good.
Brett, I know you got some drops.
SchoolSucksProject.com is my site, and check us out on YouTube. School Sucks Podcast is our username.
Excellent. Most definitely recommend it. Very well produced.
Thank you.
Very entertaining. Very insightful.
Thank you.
I guess that's all we have. Finished them plugs a lot quicker than usual. I guess we were on top of it. Guys at home, definitely check us out every week, same time. We're going to leave you with a little old song called Like a Stone from Audioslave, which used to be Stone Temple Pilots, and a bunch of those guys went over to work it up on another media, another music group. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Next time, same time. Love you. We'll see you then. Good night. Remind me that dog is outside. Yeah, the dog is outside, and he's not allowed. He's not allowed in this room, especially when there's people who are not going to smack him around, like James and Garrett. I about strangled that damn dog last year, and it wasn't his fault. It was the fact that Garrett and James were riling him up. Go on, go lay down. Not welcome in here. Not during this show. Start.
Come here,
Katie, you're welcome. You're nice and quiet.
Wow, that's very interesting. The dog doesn't come in the room, but wants to so bad.
Yeah, he's used to. This is his time when up until about a couple episodes ago, 10 episodes ago, he was always allowed in here.
Yeah.
And there are some guests who just completely rile him up. I mean, that's like their whole goal when they get to the Robin Hooders, especially. And then he turns into, he's a freak. He's got definite energy problems. He doesn't know.
How old is he?
He is almost 5.
What kind of dog is it?
Miniature pinscher mutt.
Oh, beautiful dog.
But yeah, he's a good-looking dog, but he's got energy problems. He definitely will flip out. He'll start knocking cameras over, unplugging them, or
oh wow.
Or last week, Garrett was letting him flop his tail into the mic, even after I told him to stop it. And of course, of course you can't hear it. We don't wear earphones.
Right. Yeah.
On this show, but oh my God, it was obnoxious. Okay, everything, all sounds are on. Turn that down a little bit.
Oh, really?
You were supposed to find that out live. You were supposed to find that out live. I can't believe that you hit that before we even started the show. I'm upset now. Now I'm a little upset. Okay, recording.
I didn't know that you went with the fucking bullshit piece of crap South Park fucking don't know jack shit about Game of Thrones version, you fucking bastard.